Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DLAW. So today we're going to talk about the new Flash movie. What did I really think about this movie? I'm glad that I saw it, but it wasn't great, okay? I'm glad that I saw it, but it wasn't great. So what does that mean? Let's face it. It's been quite a while since we've had a good superhero movie. The last one we had was Black Adam.
Here we go.
And although I've watched the movie 10 times, I've watched it 10 times. I have the movie in the background while I'm doing work. That movie sucked, okay? But I enjoyed Black Adam because of the action scenes and I enjoy that. And that's what I get out of it. Lots of action, and not a really great storyline. All that stuff doesn't really matter to me so much. Now the storyline in Flash was much better. It started off, without creating too much of a spoiler, this Flash movie was all about the fact that he figures out, hey, I can go back in time.
I can fix things. I can save people. I can save my mom. I can save your parents.
And change all types of events. And so he goes back to try and do this. It doesn't work out the way in which he wanted it to happen. And as you can well imagine, with the type of movie of this type, it almost destroyed everything.
You can also destroy everything.
And that was the premise of the movie, that he has so much speed and he's got so much power, he can change events from almost any time in history. The first initial scene, I love it, okay? There's a criminal who's doing his criminal thing, right? It creates a huge fiasco in the middle of the city, and just the way in which the Flash comes into the scene and makes things happen and saves the day was really cool. I don't want to get into the specifics of what he did, but it was nice. It wasn't realistic, but let's face it, it's a superhero movie. How realistic does it need to be? But it was entertaining, and it started off with a bang. One of my big problems with this movie was with Ezra. Okay, Ezra. He was funny. But at the end of the day, I kept coming back to the fact that what is he doing off stage? What is he doing off camera? And all of his criminal issues, it bothered me. It did bother me. So, that brought the level of fun down just a little bit. But see, I really enjoy these movies, these Marvel movies, DC movies, because again, it gets me a chance to get away from the grind of thinking about cases and my clients and just relaxing. And this movie was able to do that. It was a good enough storyline. They wove in with Batman that came in extremely well. Superman. There was so much that was going on. It was really interesting. And the action sequences actually were really good. So it did its job, which was entertain me, even though the storyline of sorts was not that great. So as I'm watching this movie, I'm sitting there about 45 minutes into the movie. The one thing that I did notice was, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I'm like, where have I seen this story before? And then it hit me. This was a reboot of I think it was a 2013 Justice League animation called the Flashpoint Parallax, I believe.
Something in the past. We have to find out what he changed and change it back before they kill everyone on the planet.
It pretty much mirrored the story of what was going on here. And I got to tell you, the story in 2013 was a lot better than this current story, but it was still entertaining. Just to see it on the big screen with real people and all that kind of stuff was entertaining, and I enjoyed it. But still, the original, if you haven't seen it, go check that out, because that's really good. So one of the things I did not like about this movie was the way in which he's running in slow motion. Why are your hands coming up so high, especially if you're running so fast? What is up with it? I did not like that. Ezra Miller right now has a number of criminal issues that he needs to deal with. He has a number of issues, and it does not make the DC universe look fantastic. So it's very doubtful that we'll continue to see him in future movies. He may have just screwed himself. I did like the interactions with regards to weaving in Batman into this, right? And then you've got multi-dimensional Batmans involved. Michael Keaton was excellent. He was excellent. Him as Batman, he was the bomb. It's kind of jumping all over the place when you kind of have to do that when you're talking about going between different universes. So it's more complicated, and I don't like complexities of movies like that. I just want to be entertained, because I have enough work to do in my regular life to entertain myself. So I just like brute force and action. My expectations for movies like this are substantially low, okay? However, the one thing I do have to say is that if DC is trying to kind of reboot itself and change the direction that it's going in, it did not solve the problem with this movie. It just did, because even at the end, it's kind of like, okay, where are we going with this? Do you know? Do you know? It didn't have that much kind of direction with regards to what we're used to on the Marvel side. Especially with DC movies, my expectations have been lower, because let's face it, Marvel versus DC, they don't stand a candle. The quality of movies in terms of the storyline and everything else is so much better on the Marvel side than the DC side. And so my expectations for this, especially after Black Adam, were diminished. They were lower. It was above my expectations, so I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. So if you go into this movie with your expectations being lower, this is not X-Men, this is not Avengers, this is not Marvel, it's DC, you're going to be all right. If I'm going to give it a grade, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10, okay? Just so you know, I'm not crazy. The movie is not great, but it's entertaining. I recommend that you see it. It supplied or took care of my superhero fix for a while till we get the next good movie out, because this movie was not that good. But it's still worth watching and spending a few dollars to go out with your friend, spouse, or friend to have a good, entertaining movie night. Okay, guys, so that is my review of Flash. I enjoyed it. Hopefully you will too. Don't forget to comment and like down below. Stay tuned. We're going to bring you many more events, and let us know what you want to see. What do you want me to comment on? Do I keep doing these movie reviews, or do we do something else? You tell me. I'm Darren Miller, and this is DLAW.